Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a little chilly out, but it's been quite pleasant. Sunshine and low wind velocities. I'm sure Thomas Jefferson would agree. That's a great advance in weather. So, the presidential campaign, I think, is really on for Biden, whereas before this point, I think he made selective appearances but was not campaigning. And to have him, on the one hand, vilify Trump for January 6th and trying to overthrow our government. The second one is to drive home a message and at the same time return to those who've supported you in South Carolina. And that's the speech that the president gave to the church, talking about the soul of America again, and also talking about those who would have us hate each other and how he does not choose that. What we're seeing is a tested, experienced politician who's taken his knocks over the years, who's now begun his campaign in earnest. He's going to scare out of the field anybody who would think to challenge him, for fear that they will be in political Siberia for the rest of their political lives, such as it is. But also to get people revved up so that they realize there is only one choice, and that choice is Biden. I heard an ad this morning for, others who might run, and I think they didn't get the memo. They're in the Democratic camp. So I think that Biden is off to a start. Now, early in the year, we can see pretty clearly that this is going to be the year in which we hammer out whether or not we can convict a former crooked president, and can we make it stick, and can we convince the voters finally that they've been listening to lies by Fox and other social media, and that they're choosing to hate rather than to take care of their own families and communities for the issues for which Biden and others stand. Now, no politician is perfect, but in Trump's case, we don't have to worry about that, because he is the embodiment of imperfection, lawlessness, and evil. So we return to the trials, and tomorrow morning at 9:30, I believe, is the argument about whether or not Trump has immunity from prosecution. There's already been a civil case that said he doesn't have immunity, and it's expected that that will be the statement tomorrow. And Trump is coming up, and he's going to be in the courtroom so he can have, I guess, a sense of him chilling the three judges who will hear the case. That will not happen. These judges will not be chilled. They will not be worried. So Trump is probably really coming up here to stage an event outside and to reconstruct what the argument was about. On the same day, that is today, Trump is filing a motion saying that he's immunity from prosecution in Georgia too. It's also another frivolous motion. There comes a time when these motions are dealt with, and what faces him is the abysmal location of his fate in an actual trial. And we're getting closer to that time. And the courts who favor him, I'm thinking of the Supreme Court, may find they have to find a way to dodge the decision in this case and risk an even greater loss of trust in America than is already clear from overruling Roe v. Wade. The alternative, of course, is we'll find the Supreme Court is so ideological, so biased, unconcerned about what the law may say or the facts dictate, that they will uphold what Trump is doing and say he cannot be barred. It's hard to say how that will play with the people, if you will. But increasingly, as this goes on, I think the crowd that supports Trump will become more compact, that we will lose people there. I say we lose, we gain. Whether they'll vote for Biden, that's another question. And what Biden has to do is what Obama did when his second effort to be in the White House. He charged a nation and added votes to all the columns in all the right places. And if Trump's having conversations with, if Biden's having conversations with Obama, you can be sure that they're talking about the ground game and that now we need one. And we have to fight this in the precincts, and particularly in the battleground states. Now, there's an off chance, of course, that the polls are not accurate about what's going on in Iowa, and that Trump is going to find himself either close or defeated by one of his challengers. But whether it's Trump or one of these other evil characters who have the same list of issues that Trump does, there is no alternative to Biden, in the sense that a nation that wants to go forward can't go forward with Trump except toward autocracy. So that's a real problem. The rest of what's going on, I suppose, is that the immunity that Trump speaks of, and that Smith, as you probably read or heard, was, how could you give immunity to a president who could do something so outrageous as, say, try to take over the government to install himself as the president when he lost? So you have to wonder where we're going and for what end result. I hear some of the experts talk about what will the Supreme Court do when next month they get to hear the argument about the Colorado case, which is barring Trump from running for office there. And some authoritative spokespersons say they think that the Supreme Court will choose the most minimal way they can to avoid deciding it. See, but I think that certainly the 5, if not the 6, are strongly ideological, and that they may just see it as, we're going to do this. I don't know how the public will react, but that's the wrong decision for them. It's the wrong decision for the nation. And hopefully it's the wrong political decision as well. Every opportunity you get, you may find it worthwhile to say things to your friends that diminish the intelligence, the patriotism, the common sense approach to issues. And you will that way find people that will say things like, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump. And maybe I'm not going to vote at all. That's a vote for us. And there will be people who remember what they've been taught, because they're not evil and they're not takers. And they'll say, well, I was with the Republican Party, but now I can't recognize it. The same line they said was true when Reagan took office, and new Republicans said things like, I didn't leave the Democratic Party, it left me. Well, if you can't say the Republican Party has galloped away from any reasonable person who formerly was a Republican, I don't know what it is. So, those are my comments today. I'm going to pay attention to the argument tomorrow, and I'm very curious to see what the court will ask the questions. And you can hear it. I don't think you can see it, but you can hear it tomorrow when it begins at 9:30. And if you just look in your newspapers or online, there are lots of places. And I know C-SPAN is going to cover it as well. So you can find the argument tomorrow and know it as well as everybody else. So thanks for listening to me. And weather notwithstanding, I hope to be here tomorrow and talk to you some more. All the best from my Cathedral of Trees. Bye-bye.